Ah, Good day, everybody. Welcome to Dental Voice Season 2 with Zyrus. My name is Rolando. Thank you so much for joining us. Today, we have a returning guest, and I cannot tell you how excited I am. We're going to have to slow down here because when the energy gets together, the next thing you know, we've lapsed into another language. Everyone, this is Dr. Anna Vasquez. The purpose of Dental Voice is to hear from people in our industry and professionals and understand the experiences that they're having, get some advice, get opinions. And today, because it's been, I don't know, about 5, 6 months, we get to hear back from Dr. Anna Vasquez with Fisher's Pediatric in Fishers, Indiana. And so thank you for joining us. How are you, Dr. Anna?
Well, hi, Ro. How are you? And actually, I will have to correct you. We're going to start already. It has been 7 months. Can you believe it? I know it seems like it has been 20 years, but it has been 7 months. Seven
7 months.
long months, may I add.
Ay, ay, ay. So, first of all, thank you for joining us. And I'd like to just jump in and say, between when we first talked to today, how are things? How are you? How's the team? How is everybody at Fisher's Pediatric?
Well, thank you so much for asking. Everybody's good. We are doing great. We're surviving. We're actually thriving, to be honest with you. So it's been 7 long months, but we're doing great. We're doing great, and it's so good to see you. It's so good to know that you're doing good. I'm
Awesome.
so glad to be back.
You'll need to say hi to Douglas for me because I haven't talked to him and the rest of the team. So when we talked 7 months ago, we were right in the beginning of this whole pandemic, and there was so much that people didn't know. There was so many things that was causing anxiety. The guidance wasn't there, all that type of stuff. And you introduced an incredible context that you called WIN.
So sorry.
Is that Pearly?
That's my dog, Pearly.
Oh, awesome. Well, we'll have to meet Pearly a little bit.
Sorry.
But no, not about. So you introduced this concept of win. What's important now? How is that going? And how is that applied to what you're currently doing in your practice and everything else?
Well, my pleasure. So, most important thing, Ro, is that in 7 months, I wish I could tell you that the anxiety level has come down, but obviously this week, the anxiety level has even gotten even higher for obvious reasons. So, I think that the principle of win it's is still as valid as it was 7 months ago. So the principle of when is what's important now, and there's some moments like in the last 7 months that we have to stop, think what's important right now.
Oh, wow. It's one of the things that was so crazy at the time was because there was so much uncertainty, the anxiety was building on, and then people started speculating on that. And I love the context around it because what kind of happened is we got sucked into this vortex of kind of going crazy about what to do. We started losing perspective on kind of what we needed to do, what's important helped, but then also we kind of, you know, the idea behind balancing what we needed to do, our lives, our responsibilities. I mean, how is that affecting, and kind of what context do you have around that?
Well, that's a very good question. So, Ro, within all this vortex, as you call it, and my principle of win, one of the things that we kind of gather is like how important is that work-life balance, because the majority of us, obviously, we had to go work. I mean, I'm a business owner. I have to go back. I treat patients. I go to the hospital. So it was extremely important to have that work-life balance and present it to the team more than ever. Is that balance was important.
When you say balance and you look at that, expand, what do you mean by balance, and what are some of the key aspects of that you'd like to kind of share with us with regard to how to navigate through that?
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's I knew you were going to ask me because every time I introduce this to a business owner, they said, "Okay, so you're talking to your team about work-life balance? Are you crazy? Because if you're talking about work-life balance, are you telling them not to work?" And actually, that's not what work life balance means. What work life balance for me is when you are be present wherever you are. So when we are working, when we're at the office, be there, be be productive, be what you are expected to be, and more. But when you're home, I do want you to be present at home. I don't want you to be thinking about all the other things. And we all have different hats, obviously, that we wear. We're daughters, we're mothers, we're sisters, we're partners. Besides being a dentist, being a business owner, being a coworker, so there's so many things that we do. The important part of work life balance is be present where you are, be present mentally and physically. There's some moments that because of the stress of life, we maybe, yeah, our bodies are there, but our minds are not. And that is not what is expected. That's not what I would like for my team to do. It's like, you know what, there has to be that balance. But the majority of business owners, anytime I say work-life balance, they're like, okay, you're telling your employees to be lazy. And let me tell you that during this process in 7 months, we have found that, and we had to do changes in our office. Like I'm pretty sure every office in the country, we had to make some changes. We have to make sure that we provide social distancing even within our office. And our office is extremely large in one location, so we had to introduce shifts. So there's somebody that starts from 7 to 3, other team starts from 8 to 5, other team starts from 9 to 5. So it's all these different changes. So the only thing that were introduced for every single one of our groups was like, okay, when you're here, be here. But I want you to go home, and I want you to enjoy home, and I want you to enjoy family, because I think that one of the things that we learned through all the process, through all the anxiety that we're still going through, is like, okay, what's important in life is it's all those other things. So yes, we have to do this in order to be able to enjoy this, but every single part at every single aspect of our lives are important.
Wow, I love the sentiment and the message around that because it works both ways. When you're at work, be at work. Don't bring all the other things in there because it enables you to focus. But then when you're out of work, don't bring your work home because
Mhm.
then you're not at home. So, oh, and it sounds like it's working. It sounds like it's something that's meaningful and giving you the kind of the ability to kind of keep driving forward and all that. Um, how do you navigate? Or there's a first of all, you're a very energetic. I love the energy that you bring. You've got such a phenomenal perspective. Where does that come from? How do you the
That's I'm glad you asked this because I wanted to talk a little bit about time management, and I think time management in the past used to be like, oh my gosh, let's teach time management. Well, I think that by this moment, if you do not have this time management idea under control, there's a very, very important life skill that you don't have. So I'm going to tell you that one of the things that I have learned, and I'm talking to somebody that has as much energy as I do, is energy management. Because there's a very difference between a time management and energy management. Because, like I said, I mean, I do have, I'm going to say 90% of the time, I have energy for me and 3 other people. Um, and it's and I'm obviously I'm very good at time managing my life, but it's that energy management that it's important, and it's a new concept that I'm going to say that I have learned because all the uncertainty that the world has brought to us, that this 2020 has been, I have learned to manage my energy more than my time.
Learn to manage my energy.
Energy.
Ooh, what an interesting thing. I love that. I love the idea behind that because, yeah, you could just.
And then you're like, yeah.
So what do you do? I mean, how do you kind of decompress, or how do you establish that so that you're not, because as a business owner, you're dealing with so many different things, your patients, your team, you're dealing with the office, you're dealing with we're in a situation here where safety is so important, extra PPE, you've got less patients come in. How do you do that?
Well, I'm gonna take you back then just for a second on those moments that we were completely. It was a shock for all of us in March and April, that the entire nation, we were at shock. So there were some moments that, even though yes, our energy could have been like the best energy in the world, then you crash, and all of us are human. So I learned one concept, and from a good friend of mine, Mr. Parker. He There was one day that you have this group of friends that they're your support group, and I'm trying to pretend. People tell you, "Hey, how are you doing?" And you're like, "Oh, I'm okay, I'm okay." And he looked at me and said, "Okay, Anna, stop it. You are not okay, and it's okay not being okay." So thank you, John, for saying those words, because as much as I just wanted to say, who are you to tell me if I'm okay or not? But he knew I wasn't okay. So I learned that concept. It's okay not being okay. So by you knowing that you are not okay at that moment, you have to validate that feeling. Hey, I'm not okay. However, you don't have to stay there. You can enjoy the moment for a little bit, but that's what that energy management is all about. Because it's like, if you think about your energy as a bank account. So you have to put some money in the bank to be able to do some withdrawals. So there's a moment when we are not okay, and we're not okay because we're anxious. We're not okay because this patient is giving me more trouble than what I wanted. We're not doing okay because I have all these expenses. We are not okay because I have employee problems, and employee conflict, because I have conflict with my spouse, with my partner, with my kids, with my mother, with whoever they are. It's okay not being okay. Now, it's where that concept that I was trying to tell you about, the energy management. So what are you going to do in order to get out of all this so you can be okay? So one of the things, unfortunately for us, when we are with patients, and you know that I'm pediatric, so my patients, they're not responsible for any of my not okay moments. So I need to bring that energy somewhere so I can make that patient in a very, very, very good situation. So and it all gets together, if you think about it, with the life work balance. So, and I told you I was going to have a prop, and you told me it was okay. So I have a book, which, by the way, this is one of the best things I have ever done. I took classes at the Culinary Institute of America. So yes, I'm going to cook for you. But if I'm not going to ask you to hold this book, and I ask you, okay, how long can you hold this book? And for a moment, I mean, you can say, hey, I can hold this for 5 minutes. I'm like, okay, well, let's see. Let's see how strong your shoulders are. So there's going to be a moment that this book, which is obviously not that heavy, it's going to be that heavy that you're going to just drop it. So it's the same if you think about it with our situations. There's some moments, if I tell you hold the same book for 30 seconds, put it down, just relax, do something else, and hold it again. So when I tell you to be present, that's exactly what I'm telling you. The situations for us as a business owners, I mean, they're going to be there. Our expenses are going to be there. Our conflict with employees are going to be there. Our patients are going to be there. So it's just take that break, get that energy from someplace, so when you go back to hold that book again, you have that energy to hold it, and you can hold it with a smile on your face. Because the truth is, if I ask you to hold this for a full day, at the end of the day, you are not going to be smiling at me. You are not going to be saying pretty things to me. So that's the importance of that work-life balance and that energy management.
Wow. The the idea of making sure, yeah, especially when you have a lot of energy, it all goes out. And you're right. At some point, you pass out because you just run out. But by actively recognizing that there are different things that you can do and being conscious of that, it gives you the ability to kind of meter out things. And then the idea of balancing it with where you are, what you're doing, why you're doing it is really cool. It's funny, I just have to show this. Who is this? Destiny.
Oh, energy 25. Well, because she is one of my good friends, and actually she helps me get energy. So
Well, I mean, it's interesting. You're right. People see you, and people have an experience with you where you're always up. And then the idea, and this resonates especially strong with me, is this: it's okay not to be okay, especially when you're in a leadership role, when you're in a situation or in a position where people are looking up to you to make decisions. People are looking to you to tell them they're going to be okay. You mentioned the dynamic with your team. You have roughly how many folks in your practice?
I think after COVID, we have 60 some.
Yeah, and they're all
Yeah.
coming to you. What's the experience that you've had with them? And practices out there there are a bunch that are struggling with teams of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I mean, think about it. You've got 10 times that many. What's the experience with you right now with regard to working
Uh,
with and navigating with
I
your team?
I think one of the positive, and I have been extremely lucky, that I do have my best friends work with me. I have a team that help me manage that energy, and they're the source of my energy. And I think that as a leader, you have to show and you have to allow your team to be human, that it's okay not to be okay, that they are allowed to have a day that is not as good as they want it to be, and to help them manage that energy. Like I said, I mean, working with kids, and it's working with public. I mean, obviously, I have been blessed that I get to work with kids, but for people that like to work with adults, it's the same. I do not like working with adults, but it's that that it's expected. It's expected, that energy. So, number one, let your team know that it's okay not to be okay, but let them see you struggle and get out of that as well. And for me, I mean, this just works for me. I classify my level of energy in different levels, and how am I gonna, when I'm there, what am I gonna do to be able to get out? So the worst, obviously, and I think during this past 7 months, all of us has been on this stage at least once, is that depression that you just don't know where you're going. Like, you don't know, like even this week, I mean, we don't know where the nation is going to go yet. And to a point, I mean, you're going to feel like, okay, I can't breathe. I mean, what is this all about? It's okay feeling like that. Just don't stay there. So what are you going to do to get out of there?
Yeah.
The other stage that we have all been there is when you feel, and I'm going to say that this is more at a family level more than at a work environment, but when your anxiety goes hand to hand with just anger towards whatever. And for those folks in there that are married, you know that happens. And even with a mother-daughter relationship, even though my daughters are adorable 90% of the time, And I'm pretty sure they would say the same of me as a mother. Oh, my mom is awesome 90% of the time. But it's that anxiety, and then it gets to the point that you get resentful because of something that happens. So that's another level of not being okay. And the way you're going to deal with all this is going to be completely different. So if you think about it, and I know that you haven't asked me, but I'm sure that you're going to ask me, okay, so how do you get your energy? Well, I know that I'm not going to be too popular with this, but let's think about where you do not get energy from. Have you ever sat down to watch TV, especially the news? And let's say that you watch TV for an hour, you watch the news for an hour, and I'm a news junkie. And you get out of that, I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel so energetic. I got this. No, no, you don't.
I was like, what?
I don't know anybody that could say that they do. So there's certain moments, like especially when you're on that depression or that anxiety that we said, for watching TV is probably the worst thing you could do. There's other things that you can bring for you to be able to do it. I do yoga, and yoga for me brings me to a different level. And maybe that level of energy that I get from yoga is not the level of energy that I need when I'm in the office, but I need that level of like, to be able to get to the next one, which is the excitement, that energy, that the one that I have right now, that one that I have in the office, that I have when I'm with my employees, the one that I have when I'm with my patients. That's the energy that's for me, that's the energy that you have to look for. But in order to get there, you need to go step by step, and you need to manage that energy, because when you're on this stage, you don't want to use it all, because you still have other things. You still want some energy so you get home and you can deal with your kids. You need some energy to deal with your partner, especially if you are Rolando's wife. I mean, that poor lady, she needs as much energy as she can get. So if you think about that management of energy, it's what's important and what's going to keep you in line, and what's going to keep you happy. For me, the most important source of energy is laughter. And how do you get this laughter? So usually you get this laughter. For me, it's my friends. I mean, Douglas is probably one of my best friends. But in my office, I have a team of people that they know when I need energy. They know when I need that positive energy. And they know, they just know. We have been friends. My employees have been there for 15, 20, 25 years. I have Courtney has been with me 25 years. So it's just a matter of like, you look at each other. My sister, I'm blessed that my sister works in my office. So I've been friends with her for more than that. Let's just not talk about age. But all of us, you have that group of friends, and I certainly hope that all of my colleagues, they can get that group of friends that they know, I need that energy so I can use this energy. So I can, I mean, and like I said, everything goes in a circle. If I have this energy, I'm going to be able to make good decisions. I know what's important right now. If I'm drained, I can withdraw from this bank. There's absolutely nothing in this bank. So laughter is definitely, but for some of us, especially like when we're tired, we come home and we're like, oh, let's just watch TV. That's not exactly how I can get my energy. I go for a walk. I have a gorgeous dog. She doesn't know she's a dog. Let me not say it too loud. Um, this creature that lives in my house and gets to go to the office with me, her name is Pearly. So I take Pearly for walks, and it's like Pearly, or I play with her. So, but there are certain things that I think to be able to survive all this anxiety, all this uncertainty, this world that we live right now. And let's not talk that holidays are coming. And even before pre-COVID, holidays have always been a very stressful situation. So in order to deal with all that, it's just trying to be prepared. What can we do so we don't drain the energy, and then I'll have to be on that depression and that anxiety? So let's try to keep, and everybody's different, obviously, but there's some patterns that we all know. When I'm there, it's okay not to be okay, but let me get out of there as soon as I can.
Thank you for that. I love the message around that because it does. It brings in what's important now. It brings in balancing your work-life balance. It brings in managing the level of energy. There are a lot of clinicians, there are a lot of dentist practice owners out there who are struggling right now,
Mhm.
and I believe that message about find that, figure out, don't get sucked into things that drag you down. And when you do, it's okay to be upset. It's okay to
It's
feel crappy.
completely okay.
Yeah, because if you don't do that, then you don't, and then now you're kind of hiding things. Let me ask you this: you've been in practice now how many years?
20 some years.
Oh, that's right. So you started when you were 5, I think.
I was 6.
6.
I
So
just turned 6 when I started.
you mentioned early on that your practice is doing well. According to the ADA, the majority of practices out there right now, although they're open, are not are not doing anywhere near as at the same level that they were prior to the COVID. How do you see, or what is it, from your perspective, that you put in place that's enabling you and your practice to maintain that level, to continue serving your patients, and also continue working with the community and your team?
Great question, Ro. Great question. I think sometimes as dentists, because we work in such a small environment, we think that we're alone. We think that we're the only people with this problem. We think that, oh my gosh, if I don't do this, the world is going to end. And to a point, your world, not the world. So first of all, I mean, you have to go back, realize I'm not alone. I have people that I can talk to. I have people that I can just go for advice. One of the things that I have learned again throughout the years is that we business owners, we fix problems. That's what we do. We're fixer uppers. That's all we do. What's the problem? Let's fix it. What's the problem? So there's a moment that you have to sit back, and especially when we're talking problems with conflicts with staff, are you asking me to fix the problem, or are you just wanting to share the problem? Because it's going to be completely different, my reaction to that. And I'm going to say dentists, we tend to just get everything on us. And not everything. I mean, sometimes you just have to delegate. That okay, is this just you want to talk to me about it, or do you want me to fix it? And saying no is a complete perfect answer for somebody. Oh, I wish I could, or I wish I'd not. But and right now, what you're asking about the practice, it has been extremely hard for us to say no to patients. And you know that I have a business partner and I have 4 other pediatric dentists in the office. Well, we are to capacity. I mean, we are doing as much as we can, and I'm doing all the surgery cases at the hospital. And like this past week, I did 21 cases to a point that I had to talk to my partner, and you know what? We might have to just say no. I mean, it's like I can do this, but I cannot put my staff through this. We will never, ever go back to a pre-COVID stage. You know that we used to see in my office 250 patients a day. Well, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen again. We cannot go back to 100% capacity. We have to scale down, because not only I want to protect my patients, obviously I want to protect my staff. So we have to put some procedures and certain protocols in place that is taking time. In the past, I mean, probably my appointments for a child were 20 minutes. Well, there's no way that I can use what we call now a concierge to go get the patient, to do the temperature check, to make sure that the patient doesn't touch anything, to sit them on the chair in 20 minutes. It's just impossible. So there have been some changes that need to be made, and it has taken some time for everybody to accustom to it, but there's a limit. So we as dentists, I mean, sometimes we think that we are like super dentists and we can do everything. And I tell my staff all the time, I'm good. I have two O's, but I'm not God. So there is a moment that you have to realize, you know what? No might be an answer. And when you have these parents that they want things, or patients in general, that they want things that it's like completely unrealistic expectations, you have to learn not to say no. Hey, you got to learn how to manage that energy. And like, nope, I'm not going to use my energy on this because I'm going to need that energy to deal with my child at home, to deal with the e-learning that we do here. And I know that you guys probably in California, and probably the majority of the country was doing e-learning. Well, when you are not a teacher and you're trying to teach your child math, it could be a little bit challenging, especially if the child doesn't like math. So it's just those things that you just have to learn and manage. And for us, like, and I know Ro, and he's like, okay, she's not letting me talk.
No.
He just found his match. But as practitioners, we have to find out. We have to reinvent something. So what was it that we were doing, and what is it that we need to do? What are the patients needing? Ro, okay, I'm gonna let you talk.
No, I see when people are saying things that make sense, when people are saying things that resonate with me, hey, keep talking because it's wonderful. What I'm getting out of that, and it's so poignant and it resonates so strongly, is that situations are different, but when you actively and purposely manage and pay attention to, give yourself permission to say no, give yourself permission to ask, do you want me to fix that? Or are you just sharing? What you're doing is you're listening. You're actively listening and feeling. And I think that that is one of the most powerful things that anybody in a role who's responsible for working with people have. I'm guessing your team absolutely adores you. And even if they don't, they still adore you.
I think that there's some moments that they do. No, I know they do. It's just, you know what, during this, for all of us, not just me, all of us had to do some changes. I mean, even internally in your home, the nucleus of your home, having, for you, for instance, having to work from home. Your wife calls me the other day and she's like, oh my gosh, I can't wait until he can go back to the office. I can breathe. So it's just things that we have all had to adapt, all had to adapt. Having a child that we have to help in school. So it's the same in the office. But in order to make those changes, you need energy. You need energy. So if you think about it, everything has to do with energy. Just as a question, have you ever been on a place that you go and you're like, okay, I feel good in here, nothing has happened, but I feel good, I don't know why, I just feel good. And then
Yeah.
you go even to a park, and then you get to the park and you're like, it's just something, so that energy, you either you take it or you give it. So I would suggest that anybody as a leader role, just make sure that you're the one of those that you can give energy. But there's going to be a moment that you have to shut down and just get that energy somehow.
See, when I meet, speak, and spend time with you, I want to go run a marathon. I'm excited to go attack anything. So there you go. You give me energy. Oh
We
my,
do have great time together.
you know what? I so appreciate you taking the time. I so appreciate the message that you give. There's a, though your focus is on the business side, there's a very human aspect to the way you look at and you navigate through your personal, professional, your team, your family life. And I personally very much appreciate that. And I think that's why it resonates so well, and why it's so meaningful what you say. So really, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. You know, if you could kind of sum up, and I'm going to give you grief about other things in a second here, but if you could sum up for people who are going to be watching this and people who are going to be, you know, listening to your words, what would that your kind of closing statement be for those for people, for everyone?
Absolutely. I'm going to say the number one is don't forget the win philosophy. What's important right now? Every day in your office, you're going to find something that it's like, okay, I have to make this decision for this. However, before you get to that part of the office, you have to have that work life balance. And all that means is be present wherever you are.
Yeah.
In order to be able to make those decisions at the office, you have to be present. Your mind has to be present, your soul has to be present, and obviously your body. When you're at home, you have to be the same. And in order to be able to have that work life balance, you have to have the positive and the balanced energy in order to be able to make those decisions. So for me, the most important thing is like get that energy. Make sure that you know how to manage that energy so you can do that work life balance so you can make those win moments. The what's
Wow.
important right now.
Wow. Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you so
My
much for that.
pleasure.
So, if I understand correctly, you were just working out a couple of minutes ago. So you threw
I
on,
was.
yeah, and this is what you look like when you, I don't know, after you've been working out, you've been scrubbing and cooking, and this is what you look like. Is that what I
This
understand?
is exactly the, I just woke up like this. Well, no, but let me just tell you why. Because 7 months ago, exactly 7 months ago, Ro called me and he said, "Hey, do you mind talking to me just to just chit chat a little bit about what's going on?" And I'm like, "Sure." So here I am at house. I have a hoodie on. It's just his home. And then we have like 2.6 thousand people that have seen my video, and they're like, "Anna, you didn't even have makeup on." So when you ask me to come back and do a follow-up, I'm like, okay, let me at least get up, do my makeup.
Um,
So this is just because I didn't do it the first time.
well, I love spending time, and if people had questions or wanted to reach out to you, what would be the best way to
Well,
be?
actually, I will be more than happy. I mean, this is my passion. I love talking about this. So definitely you can call my office 317-598-9898. But you can email me. My email is extremely easy. It's Dr. Anna at fisherspediatric.com. And if not, just they can contact you and you can give them my email. But absolutely, this it have taken me a lot of mistakes to realize what's important, and I think that sometimes we are so worried about the scientific part of our lives, and obviously continuing education is extremely important for all of us, but there's a human besides all this dental knowledge that we have. We're still humans, and we still have to treat that soul, because one of these days we're not going to be working in the mouth, and we want to make sure we still have something in here that beats, and hopefully it's a heart.
Thank you for that, and thank you for your time. Hey, 6 months from now, would you come back and join us and kind of share what's going
Absolutely. And I promise you, I will put makeup on again.
on? Awesome.
Hey, you
Hey,
know what? I hope that in 6 months from now,
there you go. There you go.
I
We'll be
will sacrifice myself and I will just forget about the Midwest and we'll go and join you in California.
there you go. And we'll do an actual live. Oh, the perfect. Done.
Which, by the way, the last time I went to visit you, I told you, "Oh, I'm not a West Coast kind of girl." And I came back like completely different. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I love the West Coast."
Well, thank you so much for your time. Hey, those of you who've been watching and those of you who are going to watch, if you like the content here, please share. If you have questions or any comments, absolutely. Please kick them out. Let Dr. Anna know. Let us know if this resonated, if this is something that's important for you. Dr. Anna Vasquez, thank you so much. Please say hi to the Fishers team. Please give
Oh, I'm
Douglas a...
supposed to tell you from everybody in the team, from Courtney, Douglas, Nikki, Amy, that they love you, that you have to come back.
Oh, done. At some point here, we'll come back and it'll be awesome. So have a wonderful rest of your day. Have a safe and wonderful weekend, and we'll see you soon. You are
And you
absolutely...
stay safe as well.
Thank you.